Okay, so I'm going to discuss now, as I mentioned in the beginning, about makerspaces. So most of you have already a makerspace, or you're working in a makerspace. They can be integrated in the school, but there are many different ways of creating and building the makerspace, and all of them are working. And I think the important thing is that it integrates with the culture and the context of your environment, and also how the your colleagues like to work. So I think that in order to succeed, everybody, teachers, students, and administration, they need to feel comfortable in the space. So we summarize some attributes or some kind of characteristics of a good or a great makerspace. It's in this information is in this book, Makerspace and Planning, that you have the link there. So first of all is personalization. This is what I mentioned before. So it's important that the theme at the makerspace is adapted to your school community. And there are thousands of different school communities, and there is no one makerspace that fits them all. Then I think it's important that it should build in such a way that they give opportunity to take the learning deeper. So if someone wants to explore further or go deeper in some of the knowledge, it's easy for them to do this exploration. Empowering. I think that it's important that all students somehow they feel comfortable working it. You know that there are always some group of students that they feel more attracted to this digital fabrication. There are other students that they don't feel that much attracted, but I'm sure that you can find a way, or there are tricks to find a way to make it attractive and empowering for a bigger number of people, bigger number of students. Equitable, so you need to consider inclusive learning. So not everybody learns to the same speed, not everybody has the same or like the same things or feel comfortable using the same equipment or the same space, so on. So it should be built in such a way that it encourages tinkery, play, and open-ended exploration for all. I think this is the key here. Then differentiated, again, is related to the previous one. So each student is different, so we should try to approach the learning in different ways. It's a way that, well, we can provide different materials, activities, and supplies that meet the needs of different students. Intentional, I think this is very important, and it's related to the personalization. So it should have a goal, it should have a name, it should have a vision. So I would like that in this makerspace, I would love that arts are somehow highlighted, or I would like that my makerspace is integrated in the school environment in such a way that there is no a single place. We are going to discuss about this later, but I would like that it's distributed along the school. So you need to have a vision, and then inspiring. So it's creating the conditions to inspire your students, so they want to use the makerspace, they want to learn that, they want to make, they want to tinker. So there are some links to some. This is a book that I find it really interesting, especially if you are starting in the process of creating a makerspace for your school. I think that it contains a lot of things that you need to take into consideration, and also this guide from the. I think that it was supported by FA Foundation, and it has some aspects that are also interesting. So what type of makerspace can you find in schools environment? Well, the first, this is perhaps the most popular one, is a reserve space. So you have a room or a set of rooms in which you have all your equipment, all your machines, and also the consumables that you need for your makerspace. The way that you have placed the different equipment, it depends a lot on the space that you have available. So I have seen really nice makerspace that they have really reduced space, but thinking carefully, the approach, they manage to get most out of the space. So one of the things, as you see here, that is important is, well, in the makerspace, you're going to have a lot of small tools, equipment, gadgets, and so on. So it's important some places where you can accommodate them, you can place them. Another important thing, this is in the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. Other things that are more related to the infrastructure, for example, in here, some of the machines, they need some ventilation or they need some special lighting conditions, or they need some special setup. So these are things, or for example, power consumptions and machines, they consume quite a lot of power, so they will need adequate power infrastructure. So these are all things that you need to take into consideration. Here, for example, it says that a new vent, duct, and fan system. They are discussing about ventilation, piping, another ventilation place, and so on. Okay. I know that this is more difficult to get, but I personally like those spaces in which there is no a single makerspace. In the same way that I don't like there is a single computer room where all the kids go there. At least when I was young, I had a computer room where all the kids go there and they just did computing things. So they program or they use Office. I remember that my teacher didn't know how to use Office, and they were learning with me or with us how to use Office. But this is an anecdote. So the important thing here is, and I have seen here in some schools that the different areas are distributed around the school. So, for example, they had one place in which they had more noisy machines or machines that they require a special care. But I remember that they had the 3D printers in the corridor. So they don't have a single room for the 3D printers, but they were in the corridor of the schools, and kids and students, they could use it more or less freely. There was center control, but it's more or less freely. Then I remember also that, for example, they had a big aula, and in this big aula they built a green wall at the backside, and it was the place where they use it for example, for making some video recording and video edition. So what I mean here is that, of course, it depends. Again, you need to consider your context, but you don't need to think on a makerspace as a separate room where you going to do making or you go to maker stuff. So perhaps it could be integrated with the rest of your environment and find a way to adapt the different process to the different infrastructure in your school. Then there are spaces that are related to this, that is multi-spaces. This is one of the schools, Hinta School, that I have mentioned somehow in the past here in Oulu. And what I like is that the makerspace is basically integrating in the library. And this is not only a makerspace. They go there just to do some group work. Here, can you see my arrow? Yes. Okay, here in this space is where they have the, for example, the 3D printers. They have in some cabinets, they have 3D printers, and they have some small CNC machines. And then this is working space. And then in here, they have a separate room where they have the laser cutter. So if you go here, this is the space. But you see that then they have here, for example, some space where they can rest. So they can have, for example, some free time. So they can even be in this space while they are having free time. Libraries, I think that there are many, especially in the USA and in some places in Europe, there are many of the makerspace integrated in libraries. For example, this is the one in the city of Oulu. They are usually in one space. Perhaps it's an open space, but they are usually in one separate space of the library. So here, for example, they have a separate corner where they have the one 3D printer, one laser cutter, one big vinyl cutter, and then some small vinyl cutter. I think it was on the table. It's not there anymore. And then this is another example that actually, if you go to Helsinki at some point, one of the places that you need to visit without doubt OD library. So this is a big library, big building that was built, I think, a little bit more, 5-6 years ago. And it's really a community space. So it's not only a library, but the people go there just to spend time. For example, the kids go there to play. The small kids, they go there, the mothers meet there, and the small kids play there. So it offers a lot of different possibilities. And one of them is what they call the urban workshop. So basically, it's a space that for a small fee, people can visit, and they can use 3D printers. They can use different embroidery or sewing machine. And then they have a separate room where you can book laser cutter, CNC precision milling machine, and you have also some electronic benches. But you see that this is an open space. It's a space that, again, is not dedicated just these machines that they need a little bit more. I mean, for example, someone should be responsible of the machine always, so you cannot leave, for legal reasons, you cannot leave the laser cutter alone there. So someone should be taking care of it. So it's in a separate room, but the rest of the machines, the rest of the equipment is in an open space, and anybody can walk around and see what's going on, what's happening, and even perhaps have some inspiration. So remember, if you visit Helsinki, you need to go to the OD library. It's an amazing place. Then another option is the pop-up Fab Labs, mobile Fab Labs. So this is, for example, the idea of Fab in a Box, where they build a cabinet that you can transport, and then it contains 3 different pieces of hardware. So you have a 3D printer, you have a laser cutter, and you have a vinyl cutter. And you can take this cabinet, and it has some wheels, and you can move around. So there are many different ideas. Actually, for example, I know that here in Oulu, in some of the schools, they don't have a specific place, but they have 2 or 3 of these cabinets, perhaps not with that many machines, perhaps just with the 3D printer and a vinyl cutter. But when some of the teachers want to use it, they take the carry to their own classroom, and they are working in the classroom. So they don't have a specific place for the for using the machines. And actually, there are a lot of examples of mobile Fab Labs. There are in some cases that you have a van, you put all the equipment there, and you go to school, and then you take or you use some of the spaces of the school. And there are in some other cases that the mobile Fab Lab is built in such a way that is it can be placed in the, for example, in the playground of the school, and inside if you want to work in the Fab Lab or in the mobile Fab Lab, you go inside the van and you do all the work there. So there are different approach. Actually, this is something that has done Fab Lab Barcelona, and it's something that we have been discussing that we would like to explore and extend a little bit further. So let's see if we have the resources for that. But it's a summary of all the machines that you can have, and it's really nice because you can see, for example, some characteristic of the machines, like the noise level, dirty level, how difficult, how easy is to use, and then some estimation on pricing. I think that I have not included all the equipment that they have added there, but I think this is really nice, especially for those who are starting and they want to see, okay, what is the budget that I should have? Okay, so you can check, I want at least one 3D printer, one small laser cutter, one vinyl cutter, how much that would be. So I don't know, it could be 7,000, 8,000, it depends. And then distribution, when you are working in creating your space, I mean, there are many different things that you need to take into consideration, but perhaps this is a good division, again, done in or recommended by Fab Lab Barcelona when you are considering the makerspace. So you should have one clean area, so area is free of machines and possible dirt. You have the dirty area where you have perhaps the more ventilation, the more noisy machines, and so on. Silent area, perhaps if someone wants to work in more silence, or they want to do some personal work, and then some. And I think this is really, really important. Sometimes even more important than machines. I have seen some spaces that they have a lot of machines. They have a lot of space with occupied by machines, but then you try to sit down and there is no space to sit down and work with your colleagues. So I think that in a makerspace is very important. It should be made for people, for working together. It's not a space for machines. It's a space for people. So this is something that you need to take into consideration also. Some more pictures, for example, on how to store. I mean, you see that the wall is full of stuff, so it's clearly shorted out. So you have a space for basic electronic, robotic, textile, and then you see also that there are some of the boxes that contain some material that cannot be used directly by the kids, but it should be used or under the control of adults. So they have on the top of the shelf, so the kids cannot take. So this is one example on how you can distribute. Okay,